first start with of them all 8. We have 4 here. So let's bring them up. Okay, let's see. We have Emily Ustak. We have Andrew Esch. We did not bring Andrew's dog, who was sitting next to him during the whole interview. We have Greta. Greta, where are you? Yep. She's somewhere. Oh, here she is. And of course we have Michael Townsend. Hometown crowd, I get it. Hometown crowd. And you guys all, I've been told to all of us stay in this little area here, or the stage is gonna collapse and we're gonna have a disaster on our hands. Okay, so all in this middle area. Okay, and then I'm gonna bring up a bunch of people that worked on the film, other people that are involved, the Townsend crew. We have Michael's mother, Joan, Michael's brother, Brady, Michael's girlfriend, Emily Bryant. Come on up. Emily, you're somewhere. There you are. I'll bring up one of my producers, Matthew Spain. And I think I had counted 9 people I was going to bring up. Do I have 9? Oh, of course, Suja. Get up here. Suja Ono, she's the production designer who also unlikely was featured in the film. Suja, thank you. Yeah, and there's also a couple others that, that had mentioned they did not want to come up, but that is also Martha Coleman and Ian Cousins as well. So, thank you. Take it away.
Well, so I think the agenda here is for me to ask a couple questions and then for the audience, but we sort of agreed that we would just go with the flow and whatever may come out of this group. My question, Michael, is in filming this, I mean, going back like 20 years now, it occurred to you, as a much younger version of yourself, to have this camera and be filming the whole time. Would this have even been possible, this movie, this documentary, if you hadn't been filming? What inspired you to film it?
Well, in a very literal way, no. The footage is king for making a documentary. The act of filming it was not with any intention of it ever being seen. So this is a very voyeuristic act for all of us to see this footage. All those conversations were had with a sort of very casual candor. I had learned how to shoot myself and the whole crew in an inintrusive way that we just got used to it. At that time, you have to put it in context. This is the mid-2000s. Doing long-form self-videoing was not normal. If you saw someone doing that today, you're like, oh, cool, influencers. So we held onto this footage for no purpose. It was never meant to be edited. It was just something out of just discipline as artists to document the process.
When Michael came to me, well, first, and we'll get into it, I'm sure, but when we decided to make the movie with everybody, Michael sort of said, like, oh, I have all this footage, and it was 24 hours of footage, 25 hours of footage. And which is, so they filmed, as you saw in the film, they filmed over just part of the entire 4 years. Of the 25 hours, that's like, it's great, it's incredible. But of course, you've all seen documentaries that have filmed hundreds of hours of footage, right? So in some ways, it was very limiting. There was also a lot of footage of just you guys like playing video games. I would stare at Andrew playing Grand Theft Audio for like 2 hours at a time, and the camera never moved. With that said, you guys got like just incredible stuff, and that's often a question people ask me, like, they got stuff with this security guard, they got all this crazy stuff with the cinder blocks, you were filming in Pottery Barn, you filmed the breakup of your marriage at the food court. and of course, all the stuff of you guys going to Salvation Army, it was just an amazing bounty of footage. The other thing that I was really blown away was the dialogue that was sometimes you guys grabbed. You guys had that great conversation about like you guys being barnacles on a whale, and it was just like really amazing. So I think that was really just, for me, just incredible to have.
And worth noting that seeing the film for the first time was the first time I had seen that footage in a lot of cases. Like those conversations had happened and were just gone from my mind.
Yeah.
How did it come about? Did you know Jeremy's work? I mean, because again, this is going back 20 years. And so had you been like thinking about doing a documentary? How did you two connect?
I have to say aloud that during those 17 plus years, well over 30 filmmakers approached me to find out whether they could get permission to make a film. And it was all, primarily the interest was in the prankish nature of it, the folklore of it, because it continued to be a story that captured people's imaginations. But my interest or demands was that it was showcasing a large collaboration of people and that everyone would be represented. And on top of that, we were doing a lot of other very emotional work at that time. So there were days you'd wake up at the mall, go to a children's hospital, work with cancer patients, retreat to your computers, work on September 11th stuff, and go back to the mall. And no one was interested in showing that. Jeremy, however, has a specialty in making movies about artists and sort of giving people an opportunity to get to know them better, get to make them accessible. And we met by chance.
Yeah, we met by chance. I was in Greece, Athens, Greece. I was filming another movie called Lily Topples the World about a domino toppler. And we were out in Greece, and there was this building covered in incredible tape art, and I was kind of blown away by that. And it turned out to be Michael, and he quickly told me this story, and I thought he was full of it. I thought it was total bullshit. I was like, this can't possibly be true. And then I remember very late at night, he like whipped out a cracked iPad, like he had it, just like in his bag. It was 3 a.m, and he like connected to the cloud or something, and he started showing me footage of couches going up ladders and stairwells and the caverns of the mall, and I was just instantly blown away. I then spent some time like reaching out to everybody, getting to know people, and really getting into the story. And yeah, I mean, I think I was very taken by all the work that you guys had done. Just this kind of Trojan horse kind of thing where you're like going into this movie, and yeah, of course, it's like awesome. I love the prank stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, I love it. But I also thought it was really interesting that you guys were also doing this other stuff.
This movie, this is my second time seeing it, and I realize it has so many elements. I mean, it has patriotism, it has romance, it has divorce, comedy. I mean, the audience was cracking up. Buddy Cianci getting, a round of applause. So there's so much here, really. It's congratulations on a wonderful movie. I want to bring in some of these other folks,
Sure.
though. Some of the people, some of the original 8. What was it like? What was it like for you folks? Greta, maybe if you could start. Like, what was it like going back all this time and seeing yourself
It was
there?
wonderful, because it was a wonderful time with my friends. Like, there's all this heady stuff, obviously, and then there's also just the time we were spending together. And I really loved that Jeremy captured both of those things within this movie. So special to see.
I want to say aloud, this is the first time the 3 of them have watched this movie.
Not because they didn't get a chance. They refused to watch it.
These are fresh takes here.
I always thought that was so funny. I love to involve my subjects in like the process of making. So like you saw that like even in the film they're sort of involved, and Michael was watching cuts and everybody was looking cuts. This was the crew that like didn't want to see anything. So I thought that was really interesting.
I think so. To talk about the documentation as well and talk about the time, I think the other thing that I reflected on a lot is in this story and the magic of the story, it's also benefited so much by, right, all this just lived on a hard drive. It wasn't circulating, it wasn't on social media. Like, it has the misinterpretation parts of story, right? That people can hear it and then they can do so much invention around it. So it's interesting now to have this moment now sort of captured and frozen in this great way that's entertaining and tells lots of facets of it, but it also changes the dimension of the way that it would pop up, every few years an article would get republished and someone would send it or someone would like somehow find some trail of it on who knows where and bring it up in a funny way, and there was all the mystique around it. And so I feel like the story and the experience benefits both from like the instinct of like document, we make ephemeral art, make sure you capture it because otherwise it doesn't exist, but then we didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, I was always struck by, there was by this fact that like it was kind of urban legend, urban lore in Providence, and I know this like is a very meaningful story for a lot of people here. Like you guys knew it, you grew up with this story, but like I also was really, it had captured this kind of urban legend aspect to it, and it sort of kept kind of resurfacing in different areas. You would talk to people and they'd kind of remember it hazily and they kind of confused it for other stuff, or they remembered Michael's tunnel project and kind of conflated the two. So it was always just kind of like in the ether of Providence, and I thought that was so neat as well.
Well, I asked Gabby if she would think of a question, and she watched the movie. Would you like to ask your question, honey?
When's it over?
Do you want to ask?
I want you to do it.
Okay. She wants to know how you going to your tape art. She was really taken by your tape art. How you get so much detail out of the tape, the painter's tape.
Yeah. So for the most part with the tape art that you saw, we're drawing life size. So everything is drawn 1-to-1, and when we draw them, we draw the initial silhouette of the thing, and then if we have the time, we go in, we take the tape and rip it by hand. So there's never any scissors. It's all just little tiny pieces. And those little tiny pieces are what people are attracted to. Everyone loves an eyelash or a shoelace. And so it's just a matter about taking the time to give people's eyes something to lock in on and enjoy.
I have a question for Suja. Suja, what did you think when I reached out and said, I want to build this apartment? And by the way, we couldn't do it in Providence because they didn't have any space, so we did it in a little town called Boston.
What is your trade, actually?
I'm a production designer, so I build and design sets for films and commercials. And Jeremy reached out to me through Mark Sacco at Red Sky, a studio that we built the set at. And I had actually only within the year moved to Providence when you reached out to me, so I kind of had imposter syndrome where I was like, am I the right person to do this? But everybody that I had befriended in Providence knew the story, and Michael was so generous to sit down with me and sort of talk me through the whole experience. But I think my initial thought was that's really cool. I hope I do a good job.
Yep.
Michael, how many times have you been back to the mall in disguise?
I've never been back. 5 years after I was caught, I was walking up the sidewalk on the mall, and I ran into 3 of the security guards. This is 5 years after I'm caught. And I asked them, do you recognize me? And they're like, oh yeah. So I was part of their training for God knows how long. And in the 10 years since I was caught on 2 different occasions, I grew my mega beard. Emily's not a fan of the mega beard. My beard is heroic. And every time I grew the beard, my peers were like, this is your chance to get back in there. I love a simple rule, and I love not breaking them. So
What was happening in the end, though? Because it seemed like you were going back in
it
there.
looked like that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had me tricked.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Emily, what's wrong with Michael?
I was just talking to our friend John, who's here, and I laugh every time at the movie, your conversation with Adriana, the food court breakup, and she's like, why would you want to do this? Why would you want to spend your money on this? And that is a conversation anyone who's been in a relationship with Michael, romantic or otherwise, has had. So we all identify with that.
Did you wait until the statute of limitations was up before coming forward publicly?
So I had a conversation with Emily a couple weeks ago and like getting ready to come see this screening, and she summarized it for me. I mean, part of it got said in the documentary. It was a secret, and so part of it not coming forward is like I wasn't. This was like a thing I did with my friends, and I wasn't going to talk about it, and I don't know how to explain it any more than that. But that wasn't why I was doing it. It was just this bad idea.
I also kind of relished in when someone would ask me if I had heard about this. It was like a little joy that happened every couple of years in Providence, and I'd let them tell me the story. And I love this movie. I'm a little sad that might not happen anymore.
Yeah, it was a nice little bit of pride that I didn't have to talk about, but it was there, and that was kind of nice.
Well,
Thank you for your
the
presence.
secret mall
Thank
apartment.
you, everybody.
Everybody.
Really appreciate it. Thank
Jeremy
you.
Workman, Michael Townsend, everybody else. What a wonderful production. Congratulations.
Thanks
and
again.
thank you.
Yeah, tell your friends about it.